Hey guys, so for those curious how the Panda works, I put the clothes in, starting to fill it up with water. I have my lint bag on top of the clothes, and then I'll show you guys just how much soap I'm going to add. One sec. So when it comes to soap, you really don't want to use much at all, just a little drop like that. You know, that's hardly any at all compared to what you would normally use, but I've seen recommendations for about a teaspoon of soap. I found that could be too much unless the clothes are especially dirty. Especially when it comes to towels, you really do not want to use much soap at all. Otherwise, you're gonna have to go through multiple rinse cycles just to get all that soap out. And it doesn't, you know, like I said, it doesn't look like much soap at all, but once the machine starts to run, you'll be able to see, you know, a lot of the soap being agitated around. And, you know, with the machine where it only takes, you know, 5-6 minutes to wash, you know, if you don't use enough soap, you can always run through another cycle with a little bit more soap. Unfortunately, the other way, if you use too much soap, it's going to take you a lot longer to correct that, because you're going to have to go through way more rinse cycles than just, you know, one more wash cycle with a bit more soap. So, I like to play it conservative here, just save myself some headaches. Because the other day I did 2 towels and did like I forget how much soap, but it was like a teaspoon of soap, and oh my god, I had to do like 7 rinse cycles. It was insane. So once this tub fills up here, yes, it would help if I set the dial to wash. But yes, once this fills up, I'll be able to show you what it looks like in action. And you really don't want to fill it up any more than halfway, the halfway mark on the lint filter. So we're getting there. I mean, that's probably a good place right there. You really just want to make sure that all the clothes have room to move around and to agitate. One sec while I turn the water off. Okay. And in there I have 2 polos, 1 long sleeve shirt, and a short sleeve shirt. So let's set this for 6 minutes. And oh, damn it, I forgot to plug it in. So you'll notice my plug here is not the white cord the machine comes with. I'll get to that in a minute. So, I got the machine running, and you'll be able to see it agitate all the clothes around. I need to add a little bit more water. Really, like, your maximum basically is the top of the lint filter, but you're really not supposed to fill it up more than that. So just want to give it a little bit more water. Sorry. So that clothes have room to breathe. Okay. And the reason you don't want to fill it up too high is because there's a hole over here where the water will drain out into the machine, and you really don't want that. But anyway, as I was saying, the machine comes with this white cord. Unfortunately, it's not very long. So what I had to do is I had to use an extension cord. And I guess I can show this while I'm talking. And what you really want to do is you kind of have to be careful when you're wanting to use an extension cord with a machine like this. And you want to make sure that you get one that's properly rated. I got a cord that was rated for indoor use. I believe it's rated at 13 amps, and I forget what the wattage was, but it was well over it was over 1,000. I think it was like 1325 watts or something. Unfortunately, the machine on the back does give you voltage and wattage information, but not the amperage draw of the motors. So, like I said, just kind of be careful. 13 amps seems to be working fine for me. The cord doesn't get hot at all, you know, anywhere near the plug or along the length of the cord. You know, it seems fine. So that's probably a good general recommendation for 110 volt, you know, outlets. You know, just try to find a good UL rated extension cord. But I would start at, you know, 13 amps. And yeah, so I have this machine here, and as it's agitating the clothes, you can kind of see it rattles around a little bit just because the motor is so powerful and agitating the clothes. It's starting to move itself, and it is on this plastic container here, so it's not the most stable thing. At some point I might get like some sand or something just to kind of weigh down the container, just to try to help with stability here. Or maybe try to find like some boards or something to put inside the container just to prop it up more in the middle. But yeah, I mean that's really all I can think about as far as, you know, things to look out for, or, you know, usage suggestions for the machine. I just kind of wanted to show you guys a little glimpse of what it looks like in action, and we'll come back when it's time to rinse. Okay, the wash cycle is completed and it's time to rinse. So we're going to take this middle dial here, turn it all the way to the right where it says drain. You're going to take the drain hose, and as soon as you know, make it so that the hose is below the machine, the water will start draining out. And, you know, because I have my for lack of, I don't know, lint catching sock thing on there, it's going to filter out a lot of the lint, but as you can see, I don't know, it probably doesn't catch everything, which is why I have another little bathtub mesh drain that I bought along with the lint catcher. So this tub in here is going to drain out, and one thing I have found is that the floating mesh bag tends to get buried by the clothes sometimes, but it's alright. So once this tub drains out, what I'm gonna do is put the drain hose back up and then start filling it with clean water, and also add just a little bit of fabric softener, about the same amount that of soap that I added, which is just, you know, a few drops. So still waiting for this to finish draining, sorry. Just kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of what it was like to use this machine. So I think it's just about done, so let me pause the video again, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so thanks to Video Magic, I'm back. I'm filling up the tub. I've secured the drain hose, and I have my fabric softener here. As you can see, not using very much. But I'm gonna dump that in there, and then make sure the dial is set to wash. tend to forget to do that. And then we just wait basically until the water is about at the same point. So we'll be back for that once the tub is filled up. Okay, and the tub is filled up with water now. And I'm going to close this lid here. Make sure it's on wash. And for rinsing, you don't need to rinse it nearly as long as you washed it. I usually just, take it down by a few minutes, so set it to like a little past 30. So, and as you can tell, and I'm sorry if I'm not talking loud enough, the machine, well, it makes noise. It's kind of loud, but I don't think that it's loud enough to disturb any neighbors. Like, the machine, it's basically about the same, sound level as like a dishwasher, basically. So, it's not any louder than that. It's probably just as loud as a dishwasher. One thing I might worry about is if you do have it on the floor, to worry about like the vibrations, like maybe buy like a rubber mat or something if you're concerned about the neighbors saying something. But here we actually, it's like a friggin' concrete subfloor, so I think I'm okay there. But if you're in an apartment, with just, wood flooring and wood subfloor and stuff like that, you may or may not have to worry about the vibrations. And yeah, that would be the lint catcher, which is probably without that lint bag in there, the machine's actually a lot quieter. Go figure, eh? So we're gonna come back once this rinse cycle is over. Okay, the rinse cycle has completed, so again, I'm gonna drain the tub and let the hose go down, and we'll be back. Okay, so the tub is mostly drained of water, and one thing that you're going to run into, especially if you try to put a lot of clothes in here like I kind of did, I probably should have only done 3 of these shirts, but is that the clothes can get tangled up, and they're kind of all knotted together. And one recommendation I've heard is to use one of those mesh laundry bags. So I am working on getting one of those. But until then, just kind of gotta untangle them. But anyway, the coolest part about this machine is that, well, it doesn't get the clothes completely dry, because it's not like an electric dryer where you have a heat element. It does get most of the water out of the clothes to the point that they're just a little bit damp, and depending on the material, within half an hour to a couple of hours, the clothes are going to be completely dry just from air drying, which is a huge step up compared to, if you had to like hand wash clothes, and even after all your wringing and well, I can't think of any other words, besides wringing, but after all your hard work trying to get the water out before hanging them up, it still takes hours and hours. With the spin dryer, it gets most of the water out, so that the air drying time is cut drastically. So, this is, probably the coolest part about this machine. It's the most useful part. Well, aside from washing, obviously, but if you're gonna buy a machine to kind of help automate, because I tend to think of this machine as, a more automated way of hand washing. So I think the best part about that, with that in mind, is the spin dryer, because it does a lot. As far as washing, it's definitely possible to do this part by hand, but the spin dryer, that's something you can't really do by hand, not easily, and not quite as well. So try to put these clothes in kind of evenly. Probably only do these 2 shirts and then those 2 shirts in the next load. So you just kind of gotta, put them in either straight down or try to put them around the sides. So take this safety thing, just kind of squash it down, close this door. Let's put that down for now. Close this door. And then while it's on drain and the hose is still down, I'm going to set this for like 3 minutes. So the machine will vibrate a little bit at first, but once it gets up to speed, you should be okay. It's actually not that loud at that point, so long as you have the clothes even. And if you don't have the clothes in there evenly, you'll know, because it'll be extremely loud and the machine will be bucking around like a wild bull. So I'm gonna let this spin dry real quick, and I'll be back. Okay, the clothes have finished spinning. Unfortunately, I can't show you that in action because if you open this door, it stops. But clothes are in here, and let me pause it and take them out. So after I spin dry them, I just kind of hang them up on the shower rack, and they'll be drying, half an hour, a couple hours. And as you can see, well, you can't see because this is a video, but the clothes, there's no water dripping out if I squeeze them. They're just kind of damp, feel a little cold because of that, but otherwise they're good. So once I have the clothes hanging up, and I'll finish the second load off camera, but once I have the clothes hanging up, I usually have a small fan on a stand that I'll plug in just to give the clothes a little bit more airflow to dry them off a little bit quicker. But the cool thing about this is that once the clothes are dry, they're already hung up. You just go and put them in your closet, and you're good to go. So I think that's going to be it for my review, and, well, there's my corgi barking in the background. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Any comments, please leave them below. Like, dislike, subscribe, whatever you guys want to do, it's up to you. Thanks for watching, and I really hope that this video series helps you guys in your